Let's roll, baby. Welcome in. It is the Week 4 edition of Ringer Wise Guys right here on FanDuel TV. The boys are back by popular demand to have you covered every which way to handicap this Sunday of NFL action. We welcome in Cousin Sal. We welcome in Joe House. We welcome in Raheem Palmer. And Sal, I want to thank you. You got me a fantastic wedding gift, this fantastic bidet. But I got news for you. Your Denver pick and Wisen Up belonged in that bidet last week.
That Denver pick belonged there. By the way, everyone should get a bidet. It's time to stop living like cavemen, okay? So that's going to add like 3 or 4 years to your marriage. I don't know if that was the plan, but that's what it's going to do. But yes, that Denver pick and my Jacksonville under 11.5 points first half. Thank you, Desmond Ridder. That also could go in the bidet.
You know, it would have been nice if I had consulted and chatted with the wise guys before firing a wager on Desmond Ridder and the Atlanta Falcons. But, House, I'm glad that I consulted you, and I decided not to bet with my heart and bet on my country in the Ryder Cup. My guy talked me out of it, and it looks to be a wise decision, House.
Yeah, Team Europe, when they're in Europe at these courses that the rest of the world doesn't play, has an advantage. And I'm trying to make it 2 for 2. In Europe, I have the under in this Jacksonville-Atlanta game. Desmond Ridder is doing his best to blow it, but I feel like I'm off to a good start here with the Europeans cashing a little ticket for me here, JJ.
Well, and that's the idea. We want to cash a lot of those going into the 1 p.m. slate and beyond. I think we had our first ever audible, though, guys, because, Raheem, I don't want you to spoil what you're doing in wisening up. But that said, there was an audible for you, like Peyton Manning calling Omaha at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I wanted to take this Cleveland Browns team who has the best defense in the league, but unfortunately, Deshaun Watson isn't playing today. We've seen the Cleveland Browns go from 2.5-point favorites to 1.5-point home dogs, and I'm not getting involved anymore. It's unfortunate.
Stay with it, Raheem. Stay with it. It's a winner.
I'm going to stay with it, but Raheem is going to go in a different direction, and that kind of sets the stage for what we have coming up in Week 4. We have all of our fixtures that you get each and every week on Wise Guys. You're going to have look-ins from that disaster of a London game that I'm going to lose money on. We have our dog, man's best bet of the week. The Wise Guys are going to advise some of our panel of guest picks, so you're going to have some of that. We'll have rat lines. We got you covered every which way. And this is where you want to be if you're going to make a couple of bucks on the NFL. Now, it is time to wisen up. Sal, we get what we deserved last week because we were talking up our record. And that's what happens. You talk up your record, your pick goes down the toilet. I lost my wisen up bet. You, sir, lost your wisen up bet. What direction, sir, are we headed in Week 4?
You know, it's not enough, JJ, to say I lost my Wisen Up bet. I should be banned from this program, at least for, I don't know for lifetime, but 7 to 10 years. Someone should come out from FanDuel with a cane and just take me off right now. Imagine giving out Denver as my best bet, and your Dolphins put up 70 on them. They weren't getting enough points. They weren't getting like 62 points. So I lost that particular bet. But, JJ, do I ever learn? Do I ever learn? No. I'm not going back with Denver, but I'm picking against your team. I'm doing it again. They're way too hot. I think it's a fishy line a little bit. The Bills at home laying 3 to a team that scored 70 points. And let me tell you why it's going to work. Jalen Phillips out for the Dolphins, right? Armstead iffy. You're not going to see the Dolphins you saw last week. And by the way, they've lost 9 of the last 10 in Buffalo. So let's be honest. I don't even think Tua didn't even know if he was left-handed last time they won in Buffalo. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe this is good for you. I'm taking the Bills, giving the 3 points. 4 interceptions and 9 sacks last week. I don't understand why it's like, oh, well, they played Washington. You can't count that game. 4 interceptions, 9 sacks. Well, the Dolphins put up 70 against Denver, and they get nothing but praise. This game's going to be over. It's going to be 27-21. Your Dolphins are on the short end.
Well, I love the fact that Sal is going back to the well, picking against my beloved Miami Dolphins for the second straight week, hopefully with similar results for yours truly. That's what I am hoping for. But in all seriousness, the Miami Dolphins have not won a game in Buffalo going all the way back to Christmas Eve of 2016. Our guy Tua was in high school the last time the Buffalo Bills lost to the Miami Dolphins at home. So Sal rolling with the Buffalo Bills. Raheem, I mentioned the audible. So you're off the Cleveland Browns What are we doing for week 4? Wisen up, sir.
We're going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers -3. I know there was a lot of sharp money on the Houston Texans at +3.5, but we're the wise guys. So forget that sharp money. When you look at this Houston Texans team, they're coming off that big blowout win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. However, their offensive line is still banged up. Laramie Tunzel is still out. Josh Jones is still out. And they have a practice squad guy at left tackle. And he's going to have to take on TJ Watt. That's not going to go well for them. The Steelers are 3rd in pressure rate. They lead the NFL in sacks with 13. I know Mike Tomlin, he typically doesn't do well on the road as a favorite, just 14-29 as a road favorite coming off of a win. But trends are meant to be broken, and you got C.J. Stroud behind a bad offensive line going up against T.J. Watt. Give me the Steelers -3.
Raheem, rolling with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and quite frankly, we'll get to this a little bit later on in the show, I can't believe this line is as low as it is. But I get it. Mike Tomlin much better in that underdog role than he is as a favorite. We'll see if the Steelers find their way to winning ways yet again for the 3rd straight week. All right, House, where are we headed, pal? Week 4, it's your time to shine. Let's wisen up.
You guys know that I can't resist a family feud. On the one side, we have the cousin Sal and his beloved Dallas Cowboys. On the other side, the Podfather and the New England Patriots. I think these two teams are headed in different directions, notwithstanding last week's outcomes. I have to confess, I'm nothing if not a petty bettor, my wise guys. And I don't like having to sweat a small favorite against Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. The New England Patriots made me sweat the outcome of that game through a combination of frailties that have plagued them since Tom Brady left. Mac Jones couldn't convert a 3rd down, and they made a really dumb special teams play on the safety punt. So I'm sitting here prepared to fade the New England Patriots. Give me the Dallas Cowboys minus the 6.5. There's a bunch of numbers out there that support this. Mac Jones is terrible as an underdog. 2-11 against the spread, 1-10 straight up. But also noteworthy, the Patriots defense since 2021, terrible against teams with top 10 efficient pass offenses.
I love it.
The Cowboys offense, top 7, both in rushing and in passing. And the Patriots have a cluster of injuries in their secondary. The New England defense, 1-9 against the spread when they're playing a top 10 efficient pass offense. I just don't believe that this Patriots team can score. I think the front of the Dallas Cowboys, that front 4, are going to make Mac Jones very uncomfortable all day long. And I just love Dallas laying less than a touchdown.
Listen, you know I'm rooting for that pick. Sal, I want you as giddy as possible when you sit down with the Podfather later tonight to do Guess the Line. So let's hope that House wins his Wisen Up wager for the 2nd straight week, please.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to go against it. I love that pick. I was a little nervous early in the week. I'll probably be nervous when the game's on, only because I don't want to. He's going to be so smug. I told you the Patriots were a sneaky team. I don't want to hear it tonight. But all the trends, like Hal said, are in the Cowboys' favor. They're 5-0 against the spread after a loss. House gave you what Mac Jones is, 1-10 as an underdog. When the trends are this lopsided, JJ, I don't even think they should play the game, honestly. Just chalk it up as a Cowboys win. Nobody gets hurt. Move on to week 5 or 6.
That's it. Moving on. The Cowboys get themselves a win. They get themselves a cover, and we got nothing to discuss. Now, there is something to discuss. My Wisen Up wager, which needs to get back to winning ways after a stinker in week 3. You know where I'm going? A team that has been pretty darn good in covering numbers each of the last couple of games. That's the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I don't like this spot for the Los Angeles Rams at all. It's their 2nd straight week on the East Coast. They have issues on the offensive line. We know they don't have Cooper Kupp. And all of a sudden, Indianapolis has kind of snuck up on a whole lot of people as that team that maybe is a little bit better than advertised. You have Shane Steichen coming in. He's giving you that Philadelphia feel. All of a sudden, the team looks far more competent. They look like they're playing far better complementary football than what we saw last year. And I know they're going back to Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Now, full disclosure, I would like this wager a little bit more if Simmons' boy Gardner Minshew was starting. Just, cool, calm, collected. He's been there. He's done that. Richardson's flashy. He's explosive. He's fun, but he is a rookie. So I do take that into account. Don't be surprised if you see Minshew anyway, because Richardson throwing his body around like a rag doll. I don't care. Colts at home. They are playing better football. I'm going to lay it here, and that's how we're going to wisen up. So, fellas, we got a variety of different wagers here, variety of different plays. Raheem, interesting. You are the resident Cowboy fan. House on the Cowboys. We know Sal likes the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys. But you did mention to us on our East Coast Bias show, which, by the way, you can check out on FanDuel TV. You're not a believer in Dallas this week, huh, pal?
I'm not. And I'm going to save this argument for another segment. We have a lot to say about that later on. So you guys got to hang on.
Well, I like that. We call that a tease in the business.
No. We don't. We hear it now or we never hear it again. Come on, Raheem. What kind of Cowboys fan are you?
I'm the kind of Cowboys fan that makes you wait. And Cowboys fans were waiting for a Super Bowl since 95.
Yeah.
I was in grade school. So if I got to wait, y'all got to wait.
We all got to wait. All right, we will wait. Speaking of, we're not waiting, but we got an update for you and what's going on across the pond. Cheerio, London. The Falcons, the Jaguars. We have points on the board for the Atlanta Falcons. Holy smokes, we have points on the board for the Atlanta Falcons. It is 17-7. Jacksonville up on Atlanta. So Sal, maybe somehow, some way, I can cash a backdoor cover with Atlanta and the atrocious Desmond Ridder at quarterback. I'm praying to the high heavens here.
Yeah, I'm not watching. How did they score? I assume it was a defensive touchdown or a punt return because Desmond Ridder can't move that ball. I mean, that was a disgusting first half performance, and not just disgusting because I had Jags under 11.5 and they scored on a pick six, and so I otherwise would have won. But honestly, little egg on the face of the Atlanta Falcons for not going after Lamar Jackson, which is what everybody said they should have done in the offseason, and now it's rearing its ugly head. Except for the fact that they could maybe still win this division at 7-10.
Yeah, the division is god-awful. House, by the way, your boy Heineke should be in a quarterback over Desmond Ridder. And in case you're wondering, it was a Drake London touchdown. But I could use a little Heineken action in Atlanta, House. I'd be down for that.
Heineken and Heineke. You could have both, JJ.
Double the action, double the meat. Yes, sir. I like it.
One of the things that was fun, this week in preparing for the week 4 slate, the Podfather had Mike Lombardi on, and one of the aspects of their conversation was how many games do you need to give a quarterback before you call it a wrap? And I think we're rapidly approaching that point with Desmond Ridder. I just don't know, because the Falcons are in this position where they have most of the important aspects of their team and their success in place, but quarterback is so important. And as we know from the Jets situation, a quarterback can sabotage your season if you can't figure it out early enough. So they have to do something with Ridder. It could be Heineke time.
What, by the way, I'm sorry, what did Lombardi say is the proper amount of time to give a rookie quarterback? Because my answer is 3 drives. That's it.
That's it? No, not 2, but 3. Okay.
Yes, that's it. I think that's generous, too.
Well, boys, our guest picks. We have given them a hard time. They have not exactly been thriving. It's time to start thriving, though. Steven Ruiz, our buddy from The Ringer, he's got something lined up. All right, Steve, let's hear, bud.
All right, Wise guys, I got a 2-team teaser for you. I wanted to get your opinion on it. First leg, Washington against Philadelphia, getting double-digit points. I think Washington's defense has given Philadelphia's offense, which has been struggling this year, it's given them problems in recent history. And then the second leg is New Orleans at home, getting points against Tampa Bay. I don't trust Baker Mayfield on the road against one of the better defenses in the NFL. Let me know what you think. Which leg of that teaser are you most worried about?
I know our buddy Raheem Palmer is going to have a massive problem with some of the logic and rationale from a wagering standpoint with Mr. Ruiz's 2-team tease. Ain't that right, Dream?
Yeah, this teaser is hot trash. Steven, I'm sorry. I love you, man, but you cannot put this teaser in, and you cannot tell our listeners to put this teaser in. First things first, you're teasing through the 0, so you're getting no value on that game with the New Orleans Saints. Second, why are you teasing the wrong way with the Washington Commanders? Just tease the Eagles down. If you're teasing up from 8.5 to 13, 14, or whatever it is, you're not getting too much value. So this is a bad teaser. I don't like any of these. I do think the Saints win that game. And personally, it wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles blew out the Commanders. So don't take that teaser. I'm sorry. I hate it.
House, as the resident Commander fan, and we have all made that mistake plenty of times, Raheem. Don't feel too bad. I'll probably make that mistake at some point before we sign off this NFL season. It's just par for the course. What can you do? I mean, it's ingrained in your head. But House, would you in any way advise of teasing your boys up after getting shellacked in Buffalo last week?
No, that's who this team is. It's sitting there waiting to be shellacked. The play was sitting right there, Steven Ruiz. Tease the Eagles down to under a field goal. It's the lock of the century. It's the perfect teaser leg. The C-words might lose by 30 again this week. They can't protect their quarterback, and he holds on to the ball too long, and they have the worst rate of sacks compared to pressures. Just make it easy on yourself. If you're going to do a teaser, try and do the easy thing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to argue with Raheem here. I am the worst teaser player of all time, but even I know this is a stinker here, teasing it through the zero and not even getting the 3 points on the other side. It's one thing to tease it through the zero and come up with the plus 3.5 or something. You're not even doing that with the Saints. On the other side, this is an interesting game, House. Really, you went into Philly last year on that Monday night and won. So you're probably not going to sneak up on them like you did last year on that Monday night. On the other hand, Washington, when teams lose by 3 touchdowns or more, they come back the next week to cover at like a 63% rate, which is why I'm taking Washington team total over. I think it's like 15.5 now, last I checked. I think Philly, little short rest, they played Monday night. That defense is going to let down a little bit at some point. I'm not saying they cover, but maybe getting all those points is not a bad pick.
Interesting. So you're telling me, Sal, that nugget of teams that get smoked by 21 plus points, Washington fits that description. Would you dare back the Denver Broncos? Although the problem with that game is both teams, the Broncos and the Bears, lost by 21 plus points.
Yeah, that is a tough one, and that's a loser leaves town match for either coach, I think. And Simmons agreed last week when we said that. But I'm not necessarily with Denver or Chicago, but I'm going back with it with the Jets over the Chiefs. Same thing, team total over. I know it's miserable to root for, but the trends hit it.
After putting my money on Zach Wilson last week, prayers, thoughts, and a lot of them, because you're going to need a whole lot of prayers answered for the Jets to go hit a team total when it comes to an over perspective. All right, guys, it's time to get made. It's now time for the rat line of the week for week number 4. It's honestly something that I'm looking to smell out the minute I see these lines, the minute I hear Cousin Sal and Bill breaking them down on Monday morning. And Raheem, this one is near and dear to your heart because it's your wising up pick of the week. And I'm trying to figure out for the life of me how this line is what it is. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers only laying a field goal against the Houston Texans. And I get it. C.J. Stroud has looked good. The Texan defense with D'Amico Ryan seems to be inspired to some degree. But the Steelers are a much better team. They're only laying a field goal. Like, this line is too low to me as far as I'm concerned. Like, everything Raheem said as far as logic and rationale, it makes perfect sense. But I smell a rat when I smell a rat. This stinks of a rat between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans. And I know the Steelers were my rat line last week. That did not go particularly well. Well, guess what? I'm going right back to the well. Steelers, Texans, rat line of the week. All right, Raheem. It's now your turn, buddy. Rat line. What do we got?
Okay, this is the rat of all rats. This is Sammy the Bull. This is Tekashi 6ix9ine. The Denver Broncos laying 3.5 to the Chicago Bears. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole with any form of currency. I wouldn't touch it with dollars, yen, pounds, pesos, Swiss francs, Chinese wands. Look, these are the 2 lowest power rated teams in the league, according to my system. The Bears having the 29th ranked offense and the Broncos having the worst defense in the league. How can you bet on this game? This is the Caleb Williams Bowl. One of these 2 teams is probably tanking and wants to lose this game. So I'm not touching this game at all.
You want to get involved with Chicago and Denver? Have fun. There are certain games, to Raheem's point, that you immediately cross off, that you immediately say, not for me, not interested. That's one of those games. No way, no how. Sal, rat line of the week. It better not be Denver and Chicago.
Well, no, I mean, yes, you're right. And by the way, that went down to 3, and it should be 3. There's no way Denver should give 3 and a hook to anybody after giving up 70 points. But to your rat line, I think it makes sense, Pittsburgh only laying 3 to Houston. You know, QBR way, Pickett's like one of the worst in the game. He's probably minus. You wait 2.5 hours for him to get separation with Pickens and that one play of the year. And C.J. Stroud's already better than Pickett. So I think home also off a big win for Pittsburgh. I think that number's right. The number I don't think is right. Cincinnati, Tennessee, still 2.5. I checked it. That is ridiculous. Everybody left Tennessee for dead. Everybody's like, who was the quarterback for this team? They didn't show up against the Browns. Cincinnati, big win last week on Monday. That was also 2.5. I don't think FanDuel is going to give away free money 2 weeks in a row with Cincinnati minus 2.5 against subpar teams. Now, I get it. Joe Burrow's a little gimpy. He can't throw long. But this is a big game for them. Remember everyone was saying last week, like, Cincinnati, oh, they can't go 0-3. Well, guess what? They can't go 1-3 also, all right? We're not that much better shape if we're in Cincinnati in that competitive division, which is why laying 2.5 is a monster rat. I don't even know what's up. You see a lot of big rats in the subways there, right there in Brooklyn there, JJ. But I don't know what the biggest rat you ever saw was. This should be up there.
Listen, I've seen plenty of big rats in my day living around New York City. That's a smelly one, especially when you consider the fact that Mike Vrabel, I know they lost as an underdog last week to the Cleveland Browns. Credit our guy, Raheem Palmer, who was all over it. It's still a game to me in which the value, the way I see it, is on the Tennessee Titans grabbing those 2.5 points. So what I've seen from Cincinnati's offense and the limited aerial, deep play, big play ability of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, what happened to those big plays from the Cincinnati Bengals? I would be betting Tennessee plus 2.5 if I were to take a side in that game. So I'm with you, Sal. All right, House, what do we got? Rat line of the week.
Well, I'm deathly afraid that this Chiefs-Jets game tonight, Sunday Night Football, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, the whole world will be watching. I'm deathly afraid that this is Zach Wilson's farewell game, but I don't understand what's going on with the line here. It opened at 9.5, the Chiefs favored, and went down to 8.5 and has been holding steady at 8.5. Do people understand what the Chiefs are going to do to the Jets tonight? This is an opportunity for them on the biggest stage perhaps any NFL team has ever been on. Do you understand the demographics associated with Taylor Swift on national TV on a Sunday night? How about the over-under on number of shots we get of her in whatever suite she's going to be sitting in? 10.5, and I'm taking the over on that. I love the Chiefs in this situation. Anything under 10 points is amazing to me. You can play the Chiefs money line and parlay that with the under because the Zach Wilson Jets ain't scoring 10 points. Plus 118 is the price right there on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I don't understand why this number is sitting where it is.
8.5, my goodness. It seems way too low. You know, Sal, if I wasn't burned by the Jets last week, I feel like I'd be grabbing the Jets. I still might grab the Jets. It's one of those public sides. They're begging, Sal. They're begging to get Jet money in, and I might, dare I say, entice our friends over at FanDuel.
Well, maybe this will entice you further. The news just came in that Joe Namath himself bet $3 million on the Chiefs minus 8.5. He's guaranteeing a cover. He's walking around with the one on the beach. He's laying out, guaranteeing a cover. So I don't know what that does for you, JJ. He hates Zach Wilson.
Well, he sure does. And Raheem, I'm just surprised that you didn't find your way to dinner last night with Taylor Swift and Sophie Turner and Blake Lively and Mahomes' wife. That seems like your kind of scene, Dream.
Oh, man, I wish. I'm not at that level yet.
I wish I was invited. Sal, you know, I've worked my way into some dinners. You and I, we know a thing or two about big dinners in New York City, but I couldn't even find my way onto that list. They were like, get out of here, guy.
I would rather eat with Francesa like you do. I just feel like the menu would be just better serve me on that.
Well, listen, you need the medium rare. That's the biggest key. House knows it. You're having a steak medium rare with the cream spinach and away you go. But I do smell a rat with that Kansas City Jet game. There's no question about it. The one thing I wanted to circle back on here, Raheem, because Sal picked Buffalo and Miami and mentioned the line. So let's go to you, Sal, on this first. Did you get the sense in picking Buffalo this week it was a rat line? Because what did you want that line to be with Miami and Buffalo?
No, well, it opened at 2.5, and I come at you with all this bravado, but the truth is, it went to 3, and I bought it back down to 2.5. I think it's like minus 122 and minus 128. But yeah, I just think history matters, and people are looking at that trend, and I feel like it should have been about 2.5, 3. You can't make it any higher for a team that just scored 70 points, right? But you have to give Buffalo the full home field advantage for having so much success in the last decade against Miami. So I think it's right about where it is.
And Raheem, that's one of the big misconceptions that's out there now. A lot of old school people look at lines when they come out and they say, oh, team's evenly matched. You factor in 3 points for home field and you go from there. That's changed a lot, right, Dream, over the last few years?
Yeah, without a doubt. Home field advantage is dwindling in all sports because of the travel. But the one thing I will say is that the look-ahead line was Buffalo minus 3.5, and it opened back up at 2.5 before it got bet up to 3. So I still feel like the Bills are still being undervalued, like relative to where odds makers made this line before the season started. When you really look at things, I know Miami has been unstoppable, but who did they play? They played a Denver Broncos team, which gave up 30 plus points to Sam Howell. So they haven't really been tested against a good defense. So I think the public overreacted to this a little bit, and I think the Bills have value. So I agree with Sal.
Listen, House, you mentioned this earlier in the week. There's one thing to be said, though, about Buffalo. Their last 2 wins against your Commanders and against the hapless Raiders. Something to take into account, right?
Yeah, I mean, we look at the success rate thus far for the Bills, and it's come against the Zach Wilson Jets, the Sam Howell C words, and the Raiders on the road. I mean, we don't really have a feel for it. I don't like the injury at the safety position for the Bills, and I'm happy to have not participated in this particular game. It's a fascinating matchup, and really, I just want to watch it because I don't feel like we've seen either one of these optimal units go up against somebody that's of their stature. So that it's a great competition from my perspective.
Listen,
to be fair, the Bills have lost 4 games in their last 21 games. So I don't think we can just go off of this season from what we saw from the Bills, from what we've seen from Josh Allen and this Bills team over the last 3 seasons. They don't lose.
Miami hasn't won since 2016. A lot more coming up. Man's best bet. We got teasers. We got you covered every which way. It's the Ringer Wise guys right here with your boys on FanDuel TV. back to Ringer Wise Guys here on FanDuel TV. Look at that outstanding lineup of television programming you have on FanDuel TV. The East Coast Bias Boys, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, yours truly, JJ John Jastremski, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Then on Friday, you never know what you're going to get with Cousin Sal as far as Cousin Sal's winning weekend is concerned. Hopefully a lot of winners, not Bills and Dolphins, but hopefully a lot of winners coming your way. That's Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on FanDuel TV. Now it's time for Man's Best Bet, where the fellas line up our favorite underdog of the week. Trying to find a pooch who's going to go and win you a game outright. And I think Sal is going to like mine to start off the proceedings. I'm taking a Dalmatian-sized upset. The Miami Dolphins are going into Buffalo and will win their first game in Buffalo since 2016. We just mentioned that Jordan Poyer injury. That is a big deal. Look at Buffalo's record each of the last 2 years when Jordan Poyer does not play defensively. And I just have watched the Dolphins now over the last 3 weeks. They have been 3-0 ATS. They have been cover machines. They are playing great. And this is a revenge game for them. Remember, a couple of classics in Buffalo last year. Should have won in the snow in December. Yucked up a lead in the fourth quarter with Tua. They had Skylar Thompson. That's right. Skylar Thompson was their quarterback. And they almost won outright wild card weekend in a monstrous underdog spot. It might be my heart talking. I don't care if it's my heart talking. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins. I don't need those points. I'll take them outright. That is man's best bet for me. Now, we're up to Raheem. It's your turn, buddy. I had to make sure I had the order right. I didn't want to screw this up. Raheem, now that I have the order right, man's best bet. Take it away.
Okay, so you're going with your heart. I'm going against my heart. I'm going with the big dog. Glenn Robinson, New England Patriots plus 220 on the money line to win this game outright. I know Mac Jones is 3-11 against the spread. Look, my model makes this game Cowboys -5. This line was as high as 7. And there's still a 6.5 in the market at FanDuel Sportsbook right now. So the market is basically giving the Patriots a 30% chance of winning. I think when you look at the numbers, I think the Patriots probably have about a 36% chance of winning this game. So it's a small edge when you consider the fact that the Cowboys' offensive line is completely banged up. Left tackle, Tyron Smith, he didn't practice. He's been ruled out with a knee injury. Right guard, Zach Martin, he's questionable with the ankle injury. Tyler Biadasz, he's questionable. So the offensive line is completely banged up for this Cowboys team. When you look at the coaching disparity, Bill Belichick, I know he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore, but he's still a better coach than Mike McCarthy. Also, the Cowboys are dead last in rushing success rate on defense. They gave up 7 yards per play to the Arizona Cardinals last week. 7. That's inexcusable. And they are allowing 50% of runs to grade out as successful this season. We know this is Ezekiel Elliott revenge game. We know that the Patriots love to run the ball. I expect the Patriots to run the ball, and they have a real chance of winning this game outright. I think it's about a 36% chance, which is higher than the market. I'm sorry.
Well,
You
I can
should
tell
be
that's not going to
sorry,
be a
and you're
popular
gonna be
pick.
sorry.
Sal's angry. House is angry. Sal, I can feel your frustration through the screen.
Well, listen, I hope he believes in it and he comes across as something he believes in. But if he's just doing this to kiss up to the boss, it doesn't make sense. Simmons is not going to fire you, Raheem. Imagine the backlash publicly he'd get for firing you after week 4. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to take this lousy pick back and go with the Cowboys, America's team, to defeat the evil empire and eating up hoodie there, Bill Belichick. Enough is enough already. Put the Patriots to the side.
I'm doubling down, and make sure when y'all do the podcast, y'all shout me out tonight. That's all I want.
I mean, that's not going to be a problem. You don't have to worry about that. Sal, if the Patriots win, I feel sorry for you today. Full disclosure, you might want to stay home after this one.
I might get COVID in the next 4 hours or something. So yeah,
You can opt out. You're opting out like players opted out of the 2020 season. You're
Here's the
opting
thing
out
I
of
want to
this
know.
podcast.
Sal teased me for taking little dogs, and then I finally take a big dog, and he's mad. Tell him why you mad.
This is good. No, this is good. This is good. Now, JJ took like a 2.5, 3-point underdog on the money line. This is a substantial dog. It just spits in my face, and I don't like it from 3,000 miles away.
All right, Sal, let's hear yours. A dog of the week.
Well, this is interesting because I'm going Raiders over the Chargers. Now, this game's moved around a lot. It was like plus 176 yesterday, a couple days ago. Jimmy G never left concussion protocol. That's just how it's going to be with these concussion guys. You're not going to play. You had a concussion the week before, you're not going to play the next week. I think the last time that happened was like week 6 with Kenny Pickett last year. So get used to that and get used to Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell, the Purdue legend right there coming in there. I know Hoyer is like 0-12 for his last 15 starts. But this is a weird phenomenon, JJ. Remember, the Raiders had 0 fans at home in Las Vegas last week against the Steelers. And now they're going to go to SoFi, and they're going to have everybody. It's going to be Marcus Allen jerseys as far as the eye can see. That's a bonus right there. The other bonus is they're playing the Chargers, who have a mess of a coach, and every single game they play is going to come down to the last possession. So I like that getting plus 225. No Mike Williams, no Joey Bosa, no Eckler, no Derwin James, no fans. I'm taking my chances with Hoyer and O'Connell. 26-24. Raiders win this.
So I like the chutzpah. I'm with you on the Raiders to cover the number. My only question is, Sal, the quarterback uncertainty. Because I was ready to fire this as well. Now going from Jimmy Garoppolo to whoever it might be. Maybe it's the Purdue kid. Maybe it's Brian Hoyer. Did that change things for you at all?
No, not really. I mean, what did you see out of Jimmy G? They didn't even trust him enough to go for it down the stretch against the Steelers.
Well, that's because Josh McDaniels is a fool. I mean, that should have nothing to do with the quarterback. The coach stinks.
No shortage of fools in the coaching department in this game. So I'm going to pick my fool plus 225.
Yeah, listen, worth the shot. I don't think there's any question. All right, House, what kind of pooch are we looking at?
Well, I like to ride with a coach that is not a fool, that nobody thinks is a fool. He's the king of all the dogs, especially at home. I'm riding with the Tennessee Titans plus 130 at home against Cincinnati. Now, Sal laid out the case for why this game, there's a reason to be suspicious. Cincinnati comes in as favorites of 2.5 points, but I think that this version of the Bengals is extremely vulnerable. We just saw it against the Rams. The Bengals are coming off of a short week, and they have become a one-dimensional offense. It's Burrow in shotgun. It's the only way to protect him and that leg, and a calf injury is not an easily overcome situation. So the aggressive front four of Tennessee putting pressure on Burrow, and Burrow finishing, he is every week now finishing with the worst completion percentage over expectation on each and every week. And, you know, while this Titans defense is predicated on stopping the run, the Bengals don't have a run. They have no rushing game whatsoever. So I like the idea of Tennessee and Coach Vrabel game planning for, a one-dimensional limping around Joe Burrow, and give me Vrabel. All the numbers are outstanding of Vrabel against the spread and straight up at home as a dog. Let's ride with that big dog.
I like the sound of that. Give me those Tennessee Titans grabbing those points. Like the Tennessee Titans winning that game outright against the Cincinnati Bengals. Sal thought it smelled a little fishy. Well, House includes it for man's best bet. All right, guys, we have a FanDuel boost, which is going to lead us to our same game parlays that we like to put together. And each of the guys got in the lab and worked on what we were going to do for the 4 o'clock window of games. And we put together an SGP. So, Sal, kick it off with you. What's your SGP for the 4 o'clock window?
This is an SGP SS, a Simmons Slayer, if you will. Here it is, 3 legs, Cowboys minus 1.5. Under 17.5 or 17, it's jumping around there for Patriots, total team points, and CD Lamb to notch his first touchdown of the year, anytime touchdown. Bet that, bet it with me, or take any other three-leg same game parlay for the 4 p.m. Eastern kickoffs. And FanDuel is going to profit boost you 50% on any of those. So do that. That's a winner. I'm sorry, Raheem. I mean, you won't even take 1.5. Oh, no, you have the dog, so that doesn't win. We're butting up against each other. That's a winning SGP.
Listen, I'm always a fan of some competition. We need competition in our lives. We need it here on Ringer Wives, guys. So, Raheem, your SGP, I know it's not going to include the Dallas Cowboys, but what is it going to include?
It's going to include the New England Patriots plus 6.5. If you could bump that up to 7.5, it's even better. I also like the under 43.5. I really like the under 43.5. I think that's my favorite play here. If you want to play that separately, that's cool. But also, this is an Ezekiel Elliott revenge game. So we know he is the red zone threat that the Cowboys, my beloved Dallas Cowboys, don't have anymore. We know they stink in the red zone, but he's going to score today. So we can go with Ezekiel Elliott anytime touchdown. And then we're going to go with Ramondre Stevenson, over 56.5 rushing down yards. I broke it down earlier. The Cowboys can't stop the run. Patriots are going to win this. Sorry, Sal. This pays 17-1. So ride with me. Don't ride with Sal.
17-1. I like you, Raheem, giving me the free one-roll bet. That's always a ton of fun to root for on a football Sunday.
I might have to do that as a hedge. I might have to do that as a hedge, 17-1, because if Raheem hits that, we'll never hear the end of it, and the Cowboys will have lost.
So it'll be a whole lot of losing for you. So you know what? That actually is not a bad investment, Cousin Sal. I do love, Raheem, the Ezekiel Elliott score a touchdown prop. That is one that I am adding individually. I like it. These revenge games, number one. You know, Bill Belichick is going to be mindful of that. I know Mike Gesicki didn't get in the end zone against the Miami Dolphins, but he went over receptions and he went over receiving yards when he matched up with Miami a couple weeks ago. I'm in on that. Zeke to go and score a touchdown in this late window 425 game.
What a dirtbag move, JJ. Sorry, pulling Will Greer off our practice squad. That is typical
listen, he's
Bill
surprised
Belichick.
when it's coming from Bill Belichick.
No,
I mean, that
surprised.
is usually
No,
par
just
for the
angers
course
me.
from Coach Hoodie, who maybe wants to get a little intel, little insight, little information to what Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys are doing. House, SGP, let's hear it.
Yeah, we might just keep talking about this Dallas-New England game because Dream made the point that there's a coaching mismatch. Are we really sure there's a coaching mismatch between Bill Belichick? He has a losing record since Tom Brady left. Like, look at the numbers. Dream's the numbers guy. Anyway, that's not the 4:00 game that I had to build a same-game parlay around. I'm going to be watching that New England-Dallas game, but I have to have a reason to click over to the Arizona-San Francisco game. So that's where I went with my parlay here. And I kept it very, very simple. It's the San Francisco 49ers money line. That feels right. I like Christian McCaffrey at an alt rushing yard. You know, he has to get to 60 yards or more. And then it's the first half total under 21.5, playing off of the incredibly efficient Arizona offense in the first half of these games. This is the first time in history that a team that is 3-0 against the spread has come into week 4 as a 14-point underdog. I think Arizona is going to show up and show out, especially in the first half. I think there's some room for scoring. The preferred game script for the 49ers would be to jump out to a big lead and then just, you know, rush and run the clock out in the second half. But I think both teams will be motivated to try and get all their scoring in the first half. 2 of the 3 weeks, the losses that Arizona have come with them looking like, I don't know, a different kind of attitude in the second half, it seems, because there have been some interesting comebacks against the Arizona team. But in any event, first half total over 21.5. This is a plus money same game parlay. Have a reason to click over to that game. This is it.
Fair enough. And I wanted to go in a different direction for the SGPs as well, House. I'm not going to Arizona and San Francisco, but just too much Dallas and New England. So you know what I'm going to do? Chargers, Raiders. I like Sal's logic with Vegas. I'm going to go and take them at plus 7.5. I definitely think this game is within a touchdown. Devontae Adams, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. That dude eats. He gets his yards. He makes his plays. I'm taking him at 80-plus receiving yards. And then I'm going to take Joshua Palmer. Remember, no Mike Williams in this game. Justin Herbert likes his deep threat. Palmer is a guy that's going to go make some things happen against his Vegas defense. So to me, 3-legger in the 4:00 games. We're going Vegas plus 7.5. Adams over 80 receiving yards. Joshua Palmer, 40-plus receiving yards. All right, guys, now it's time to open up the floor. It's teasers, it's props, it's whatever you guys want to bring to the table on this fine, beautiful Sunday in week 4. House, I know you're a teaser, man. I'm waiting for a tease. I know you got a tease. Take it away.
I live in this teaser world, and every single week, as soon as the lines are out, I'm looking for my 8.5. I'm looking for my 8.5 point favorites so I can push them down to 2.5. I want favorites that all they have to do is hold serve, win by a field goal. The gambling gods are wonderful. They gave me two beauties for this week. Now, the Chiefs opened up at 9.5, but some weirdos out there pushed it down. Zach Wilson believers must be. The Chiefs at 8.5 down to 2.5. All they have to do is win by a field goal on the Sunday night Taylor Swift game. Yes, I like that. And then the other part of this teaser, the Philadelphia Eagles in a revenge spot after having their undefeated season last year ruined by Taylor Heineke and the C words. Well, the quarterback of the Washington C words is no longer Taylor Heineke. It is Sam Howell. And up against this ferocious Eagles pass rush, I have grave concern. I'm taking the Eagles from 8.5 down to 2.5. Eagles minus 2.5. Chiefs minus 2.5. That's how you do a teaser, my friends.
Listen, that sounds amazing. Sal, doesn't that seem way too good to be true? I mean, I want to go and max bet that bad boy right now.
We had one last week, right, JJ? It was Chiefs, similar. It wasn't 2.5, but it was 6.5. It was Chiefs minus 6.5 over the Bears, won easily, and the Cowboys minus 6.5 over the Cardinals. Did not win easily, did not win at all, wasn't even close to these. So as good as something looks, you got to take it. I don't know how that loses, House. I really don't. But I will say, everybody's very excited about this Taylor Swift stuff. And FanDuel has jumped on board. They have an entire special section devoted to Taylor Swift. There's fun puns and all this other stuff, and they assign odds to them. And one thing's called the FanDuel Friend Zone, and then ENDZ, some letters are capitalized. Go check it out. It's great fun. Kelsey, to not score a touchdown, is plus 105. I know this goes against the grain in every aspect of every kind of imaginable psychology out there. For Patrick Mahomes, he has to know Taylor Swift's in the box. He has to know that NBC is cutting away to them. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter, because this is a bad bet in general for him to score a touchdown. If you look at it, Travis Kelce, before last week, had only hit pay dirt once in his last 7 regular season games. All right, so give me the plus money here. Her presence in the luxury suite, eating 6.5 chicken fingers, is not going to make a difference to this game in terms of if Travis Kelce scores. Give me the plus number at plus 105 to
so
not score.
I totally like that, Sal, from a standpoint of you're fading the public, and you know everybody watching this game on Sunday night is enamored with the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce love affair. You can't escape them on page 6. You can't escape them on Twitter, on Instagram, on whatever your social media feed may be. Raheem, I hate riding with the public. You know that. You've known me long enough. I just think Travis Kelce's finding a blank space, and he's going to shake it off with a touchdown.
Oh, my God.
I had to do it.
Man.
I had to do it.
40
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Taylor Swift upgraded that man's life so much. This dude got like 400,000 new followers.
Yeah.
I think he's going to perform for us. So I'm riding with you.
That's what I'm talking about. By the way, Haas, I can't get you to be a Swiftie. I thought you were a Swiftie.
Oh, it's near and dear to my heart. My podcast partner in the golf space, Nathan Hubbard, the world's most foremost expert on Taylor Swift, along with Nora Princiati over at The Ringer. You got to catch that every single album. All they do is talk about Taylor Swift. It's right here. It's right on the heart.
I get that. You just didn't like my terrible pun. I think that's what it boils down to, Sal. I mean, I don't think I have a future in late night television. Just saying.
No, yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there. They're still on strike. So you go, oh, no, wait, they came back. Yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm in big trouble. All right, we got a 2-team tease since I'm in trouble as far as my late night television future is concerned. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tease the Raiders up. Look, when did the Chargers go and blow anybody out? In all seriousness, the answer is they don't. I think this game is nutty. It is wacky. It comes down to the final 3 minutes. There's going to be all sorts of weird stuff that goes on. So if you could get the Raiders at plus 12, regardless of their quarterback situation, it does not scare me. In addition to that, I know this is going to be something Sal likes to hear. I know it's going to be something that House likes to hear. Raheem, Simmons, you're going to hate it. The Cowboys are not losing this game. You're telling me now the Cowboys are going to go lose back-to-back games after losing to the Arizona Cardinals last week? You're telling me Mac Jones is going to go into Dallas against that defense and that defensive line and win the game? All Mac Jones continues to do is lose these sort of games. So I am in. Give me the Raiders and tease them up. And I am sorry, Raheem. Give me the Cowboys. I can't believe I'm apologizing to a Cowboy fan for picking the Cowboys, but that's the world we live in, Raheem. I'm on them to win the game, baby.
I'm not mad at you. I mean, as a fan, I hope you're right. But for my money, I think you're wrong. But it is what it is.
Okay, so you're not a fan. You're not on board. So be it. I need your tease. Let's hear it.
I'm going to go with the Rams Colts under 45.5. I'm going to go with a total here. Both of these offensive lines are really problematic right now. You look at the Rams. They're coming off that short week, and they lost their left tackle, Arlerick Jackson. He suffered a thigh injury. He's not going to play this week. And you look at Matthew Stafford. Last week, he was pressured on 50% of his dropbacks. For the season, he's been pressured on 37% of his dropbacks. You look at the other side of the field. You look at the Colts. They have offensive line problems as well. They're missing their left tackle. They're missing their center, Ryan Kelly. They're missing their left guard. So both of these teams have poor offensive lines. And I know you got Anthony Richardson in. A lot of people would rather see Gardner Minshew. Well, Gardner Minshew's not playing. Anthony Richardson, he's still kind of raw. He's going to give you an explosive play at times. But for the most part, he's not really consistent. So I think this is a lower scoring game. Let's go under 45.5.
I like that you mixed in a total as opposed to teaser city. Would you say, Raheem, that total going under plays to my best bet in Wising Up with Indianapolis? Do you think there's a correlation between the Colts winning the game and the game going under?
That's tough because I think either side could win in a low scoring game. But I do think there's some type of correlation. When you look at the one game in which the Rams have won week one against the Seahawks, they put up a ton of points. And I just don't see that happening here. So I wish you the best of luck on your coach bet. That's the direction I would go as well.
You just don't need Anthony Richardson stepping out of the end zone like Gardner Minshew did. If you can keep that to under 3.5 safeties, I think you're good in that. How did they win that game? He stepped out of the end zone with 4 minutes left and they were losing and they still won that game. It's insane, this league.
He pulled an Orlovsky, and you still covered if you had Indianapolis last week. I mean, if you would have bet them on the live line the minute that safety goes down, good for you. You're a smarter man than me. Now, fellas, let's take a look at the injury board. Who's in, who's out? Week 4, we know about play. Jimmy Garoppolo for the Vegas Raiders will not play. Jalen Waddle, that's a big one. We knew it all week. Dolphins very cautious with him. And then I'm seeing, Sal, Zach Martin in for the Cowboys. That's a big deal.
Yeah, anytime you can have a Hall of Famer in your starting lineup, I think it moves the needle a little bit. I'm very excited about that. If he could, honestly, that prevents maybe 1.5 sacks and at least 5 or 6 pressures throughout the game. But could I jump to the Browns for a second? I don't think it's a good move, or I don't think it was necessary to abandon them like Raheem did. I know the numbers switched, so that's not great. But couldn't you see the narrative being, boy, Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Is he better than Deshaun Watson? Did they waste $220 million? I could definitely see this being the story Monday morning.
Raheem, I still like the Browns for what it's worth. I still like the Browns in this spot.
I can't take a rookie quarterback here in a divisional game. I mean, this is not Pac-12 defenses. I mean, we see the Pac-12. It's just points everywhere. I mean, anybody can light them up. This is the NFL, and I'm just not trusting DCR at all.
House, there's one injury that I wanted to point out. Derek Carr giving it a go for the New Orleans Saints. I think a whole lot of people figured he would be out after getting knocked out in the fourth quarter of that game against the Green Bay Packers. Would that change the handicap for you at all with Tampa and New Orleans?
No, because I like New Orleans both ways. I like them with Jameis. I like them with Derek Carr. I think this is a great situation. We just saw the recipe for taking care of the Bucs, and that's putting pressure on Baker Mayfield, front 4 pressure. The Saints at home especially are able to bring that. I love the Saints in this position. I don't feel like the 3.5 is too much, and I don't know if the number's moving with the Carr news, but I'm willing to lay the points both ways.
Raheem, this change anything for you in that game?
This is tough, just because I think the market has this dead on at this point. I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't play, and then I can get some value on the other side, but I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah, I am too. Sal, I got cold feet because I took Tampa Monday night against the Eagles. That's easily one of the dumbest bets I've made this season.
I'm with you. I had Tampa. I was touting, if DeMar Hamlin doesn't play, now it looks like he is playing. But look at Baker. Maybe he was at 25-1 to win comeback player of the year. He didn't come back. I don't even know if he's coming back from last Monday's game. But short week, I wouldn't love Tampa on the road. The other thing is, though, and I like the Saints to win that division, but you can't really count on them to score more than 24 points a game. So it's really tough whether Carr is in the lineup or not.
Fellas, we have a couple of minutes left. It seems like there is a lot of dissension amongst the ranks as far as trying to find a family play to sign us off. Sal, we know it can't be the Cowboys and the Patriots. We can't find a united front, it feels like, on anything today.
It's not going to be the big games, right? It's not going to be Cowboys, Patriots. It's not going to be Bills, Dolphins, because I think I screwed that up for everyone by taking the Bills here, or the house might be on them too. So I don't know. What do we want to look at here? Is it one we haven't hit?
Raheem, can I get you in on Tennessee?
I like the under in that game more than I like the side.
See, I thought that was going to be the game I could convince everybody to go and take because Sal's on it, House is on it. I can't get Raheem to be the final member of that leg.
It's my rat. I don't know.
Yes. Sal doesn't like it. He thinks it smells. What's wrong with the Eagles in this revenge spot against the C words? The 8.5, anything less than 10. This Washington offense led by Sam Howell. Did you see how many sacks the Bills had last week and the number of interceptions? There isn't a turnaround improvement that's coming out of that Washington offensive line or Sam Howell. They can tell him to stop holding the ball so long. But if you go all the way back to his numbers in college, he's the same guy. Yeah. He's been holding the ball too long his entire football career. This Eagles defense, I know it's in transition with a new defensive coordinator, but what they just did in terms of showing us their class last week against Tampa and Washington are equivalent, except for I think Tampa's a little bit better. I think this is another big letdown performance by Washington.
All right, so let's tease down the Eagles. We're in on that. We got to find.
Yeah, I think we should go with House's teaser. I think House's teaser is the one.
That's fine.
Oh, it just sounds too good to be true. Are we going to actually play it as a family play, Sal?
Look, if Zach Wilson beats our family play, we got to tip our cap.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah, it's Zach Wilson and Sam Howell against two of the strongest teams in the league and maybe the football Super Bowl reps from last year. I'm with you, House. Let's go on that. We
are going to make our family play, our sign-off gift to all of you watching on FanDuel TV. Probably the most square tease you're ever going to find, but I'm betting it anyway. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take the Eagles, and we are going to take the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are going to ride and trust Joe House. What can go wrong? Eagles, Chiefs, two-team tees, Taylor Swift, JJ Lugers, everybody dancing, and away we go. For Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski signing off. FanDuel Digital Time coming up. We'll see you next week. Be good, everybody. Welcome back. This is bonus time of the Ringer Wise Guys on FanDuel TV. Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, JJ John Jastremski. Yeah, you know the crew. You know what's coming up. We just finished up an hour on FanDuel TV. Let's get an update, shall we? From London at Wembley Stadium between the Jaguars and the Atlanta Falcons. You guys know I was dumb enough to put my money on Desmond Ridder. Not looking particularly good at the moment. What I am going to do, though, is I want to get you guys the up-to-the-minute live line on FanDuel. If there's any interest. Sal, I know this is right up your alley. So for anybody who right now wants to get in live, the live line, Jacksonville, Atlanta, 12.5. Any interest, Sal?
Well, because we're working. We're one of the very few that are working this morning, so we haven't been able to track the game and watch the momentum and everything else. So, but I will say, I think they're done scoring points. The over-under is 27.5. That can't be. Is that really it? How late are we in this game? 5:47 left. I'm going to go under. Not a single point will be scored the rest of the way. And by the way, I got screwed in the first half with Jacksonville scoring over 10.5 because of that pick six. I also got screwed because I failed to put Buzz Lightyear in my fantasy lineup, and he is tearing it up, apparently. So maybe don't listen to me, but I think they're done scoring. I'm going to go under 27.5.
Raheem, any interest in a live beak?
Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars just turned the ball over on, the Atlanta Falcons just turned the ball over on the Jacksonville 6-yard line on turnovers on downs. I think Jacksonville is going to end up punting. And then I think the Falcons are going to get a backdoor touchdown. It won't cover the spread, but they'll probably cover the teaser. So I like the plus 12.5.
House, anything we can do here?
Well, I already cashed, knock on wood. I hate to talk about when there's 5 minutes left in the NFL.
Wow, you just threw that in the air. Save that video.
I have an under. I had an under on the game. The last 7 games at Wembley Stadium were unders. The Atlanta Falcons on the road, 5 straight unders. Desmond Ridder on the road, under. I cashed. I'm hoping to cash. Sorry, gambling gods. I'm hoping to cash an under ticket. So I don't know whether or not I would need to double down. The 27.5 suggests that there isn't going to be any more scoring. I'm fearful of what Dream just laid out. I'm just going to take my hope for winnings, please, gambling gods, and be on my way.
And if you really are feeling insane, and I would not do this. For those of you watching, for those of you keeping score at home, please do not do this. But plus 5,500 if you want to get in on the Atlanta Falcons. Down 13.
They're not going to get the
5 minutes
ball
to
again,
play.
JJ. They're not getting the ball.
Well, I'm just stating for the audience, Sal, what the live
All
line
right.
is at the moment on FanDuel. Don't kill the messenger, please. Don't kill the messenger. All right, guys, coming up, we'll have our pals, Ben Solak, Sheil Kapadia. They have their let's make sure I get the show name right because I never do this right. Monday morning storylines. So they have some advice for the Ringer Wise guys. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. All right, let's hear from the boys.
Monday morning storyline, Benjamin Solak. What are we talking about on Monday morning after week 4? What do you got?
I have Sean Payton can't even hack it. Bringing back some of the Hackett puns from last year.
Gosh.
We loved a
Really?
Hackett pun. Anybody who was a listener of the preview show last year on Friday with me, Hypitz and Ruiz, knows that the Hackett puns were very big for the headline section. You got a guy's last name like that, you might as well. I think the Broncos are going to lose to the Bears. I have no analysis. I have no analysis on it at all. It's just current vibe.
Yeah.
It's 100% gut feeling at this point. But every time I look at that game, firstly, like a rancid smell emanates from somewhere near me. I feel like my gag reflex triggered immediately. By the way, Broncos are playing the Bears. I should have clarified on Sunday. Winless Broncos, winless Bears. 2 worst teams in football. Bears. The Broncos lost a game 70-20 and are now favored on the road, which no team had really ever lost a game 70-20. But then certainly no team had ever lost a game 70-20 and then been favored the next week. I look at it and I like both teams are in total dissolution. I start to figure out, okay, like how does the winner of this game win the game? And I just like, the things that pop up in my head are the 2022 Fields games where he just like kind of felt unstoppable. I don't have any memory of like a Broncos player doing that. So like I start my animal instinct, my gut instinct starts to say, oh, the Bears are winning this game. I have no way to fully back that up. There's no way to talk yourself into either team. I'm not betting this game. Like both teams are so incomplete. Both teams have so many systemic issues that like this is a very difficult game to predict. But in that world in which my gut is right and the Bears do beat the Broncos at home, Sean Payton is now 0-4 to start his Broncos career. This after Hackett started the season last year, I think 2-2. I think he was 2-1 if memory serves, but he ended up being 2-2. And if he loses to the Bears whose media is like actively attacking them with like grades in the newspaper, the Bears who's like,
what do you mean by that? Actively attacking them with grades in the newspaper.
Did you see some? I can't remember who it was, but
I did see this. Everybody got an F.
Everybody got an F, right?
That's
exactly.
Good. That's not attacking. That's honest, good reporting.
That's the correct thing to do. But the Bears who just have been in news cycle after news cycle, the Bears who've just received such overt criticism, to lose to that team, I think is going to create some like unbelievable Sean Payton presser moments, but then also some like insane urgency there for like something to change. I'll put it to you this way. I don't think the Broncos have as good a shot to beat the Bears as the Bears do to beat the Broncos. In the world in which the Broncos beat the Bears, like ho-hum, same as always, Bears are lame. The world in which the Bears beat the Broncos is a lot more fun for you and I. A lot more stuff happens that I'm interested in seeing. So go Bears, bear down, get their first win at home against the Broncos.
Yeah, I would agree with that last point about what's more fun for team content. It would definitely be a Bears win over the Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos last year started at this point in the season under Hackett were 2-1. Now, the reason they were 2-1 is because the official defensive coordinator of Extra Point Taken, Jrue Holiday, was just cooking. I mean, they won 16-9 in week 2. They won 11-10.
And that third game, they beat the Niners. They beat the Niners 11-10. And San Francisco went to the NFC Championship game.
Oh, my goodness. I have no recollection of that game.
It was like a prime time game, and it was 11-10. It was revolting.
So guess what the Broncos do not have now? A good defense. In fact, they might have the worst defense in the NFL. I mean, I had them in the top half of the league when we did our rankings before the season. They have stunk. It's not just that Dolphins game. I mean, you look at them through 3 weeks of the season, they have been an absolute disaster. I mean, remember, this team lost 35-33 to the Washington Commanders and Sam Howell in week 2 after holding a 21-3 lead. So, has it been Russell Wilson shot like that? There's like a scenario where if they have last year's defense and this year's offense, they're much more competitive this season. But that defense has just looked so different, has fallen off so drastically here through 3 weeks that has been the major difference. So, I know you said you're not, betting on this game. Some of us have to make picks on every game for a column on theringer.com. I took the Broncos -3.5. I said, anytime, you can take a team as a road favorite coming off a 50-point loss, you have to do it. Like, I don't know what the trend is. They've got to be undefeated in that spot. But I don't know. I'm not going to feel good about it. I think it's going to be kind of fun to watch. Like, I will have some eyes on this game, or I will catch up on this game Monday morning to see what actually happened.
Yeah. You got to.
Two winless teams. Now, the Broncos point is a good one because, like, if they lose, if they go 0-4, I mean, I don't know how many players on that team are tradable or other teams would want, but at some point they just have to look at it and be like, all right, anybody who we don't see as being part of our future with Sean Payton, let's get him out of here. And if we lose a bunch of games, we lose a bunch of games. Guess what? That might be the best thing for our franchise. So they all of a sudden become, unlike a team like the Panthers, the Broncos have their first round pick in 2024. So if things go really poorly for them, it might not be the worst thing, even though I think they expect it to be competitive this year.
Like, at this point, we might as well just trade Embiid to New York because that's what's going to happen eventually.
They're protecting.
Oh, Maxey. We're back. See, this is what happens, by the way, when we have breaking news. The guys are so off the freaking beaten path that we got to react to this. By the way, Sal, I am glad that we were aware of this trade before we heard from Simmons because the giddiness just coming at the Cowboys need to win by 40 points today, okay? Please.
That's exactly what's going on here, JJ. Boston knows they're about to get thrashed in a few hours, so they have to distract a little bit. And Jrue, I want to see Jrue MVP odds. Forget about the Jrue stuff. We're in the middle of football season, and fine if we want to talk about it. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. I know you guys have opinions, but let's honor this for what it is, a distraction to the 45-10 romping we're going to see later in Big D.
Wow, it has Raheem and House speechless.
I mean, we do have a reaction to the trade. Apparently, Jrue Holiday going from Portland. Portland couldn't wait. Like, they couldn't sit tight for 10 minutes. They had to flip him like we're sitting at Waffle House. Over to Boston for apparently Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon. And my question, Dream, is what is Portland doing? What is the point of this if you're the Portland Trailblazers? Do you think that you are going to compete this coming season in the Western Conference? The West is loaded. There are 11 teams right now with minus money odds to make the playoffs. Portland ain't making the playoffs this year. What are they going to do with Robert Williams and Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon? I don't understand it.
Maybe they are looking to compete. I mean, when you look at this Blazers team, I think they've only, in the last 36 years, they only missed the playoffs 9 times. So, like, you kind of have to look at this Blazers team to where, maybe they're just putting good pieces around Scoot and seeing what they can do. And, in the grand scheme of things, if the return for Dame Lillard is Ayton, Rob Williams, Brogdon, and picks, is that a bad return for Damian Lillard considering what superstars tend to go for?
Is it a good return?
I mean, it's better than Tyler Hero. I mean,
it's better than Tyler Hero. It's
definitely better than Tyler Hero.
The Miami Heat fans have been harassing the Ringer and everybody who works there, thinking that we have a conspiracy against them because Bill is a Boston fan. But this is clearly better than Tyler Hero.
I like these conspiracy theories, by the way, Sal. I guess every now and again we need to have these in the memory bank, just so we know. Like anytime I say something, people think directly it's just to please Simmons. I mean, can you imagine having that thought? Not with us.
No, not here. No, not in this hour.
No, I don't know. Maybe with you, Raheem. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
No, it's not with me. I mean, obviously, I'm against my Cowboys today, but I let Bill have it all the time.
Well, that's what I need to hear. All right, guys. So we have some news in the NBA. We want to let you know. Jrue Holiday goes to the Celtics. Simmons will be smiling until about 5 o'clock this afternoon when the Patriots are down by 10 points. But anyway, let's get to some of our honorable mentions. A couple of games we have not touched on with the Ringer Wise Guys show. Let's start with Minnesota and Carolina. This is one, Raheem, I know you locked in early in the week. So it's at 4.5. Raheem, when we did our Monday show, he said grab 2.5 if you can. Good decision because the line has moved 2 points. My question to you, Raheem, would you still bet Minnesota at 4.5?
There's no way I would bet Minnesota at 4.5. I'm not high on this Panthers team at all. Obviously, I mean, you have Bryce Young in, and it makes the offense worse. But they've had some injuries on defense, which has been really problematic. The one thing I will say is that this is Minnesota or pass because Carolina's injuries on the defensive side of the ball is really problematic. And if you look at the Minnesota Vikings, if they hadn't turned the ball over in every single one of these games, they could realistically be 3-0 or 2-1. They're the same team that they were last year. They're just not catching the lucky breaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to Dream's point, I honestly think that this Vikings team is better than last year. I think their defense, now they did lose some guys in the offseason, but the defensive scheme is better. The blitz rate with Flores has been impressive. It's keeping them at least competitive. They're losing one-score games because they keep turning the ball over, but this really feels like a great opportunity. I put the Vikings, to Dream's point, I like the Vikings money line because there's no reason to mess around with the points, but any opportunity to fade Bryce Young, I'm in on that. And I'm also in on the fact that Carolina defense, Dream mentioned it, Frankie Lubo is incredibly important to them. He's out, for some measure of time. And I don't like that Panthers defense up against this Vikings pass offense. The Vikings pass offense has been good. Kirk Cousins has been good. The Jets ought to be calling Minnesota, twice a day right now.
Falcons should be calling. Forget about the Jets. The Falcons should be calling.
He wouldn't have to go very far. But look, I like a money line parlay. I put together Minnesota alongside some other teams that we've talked about today. I put the Saints in, and then I went ahead and dabbled in some dirty space. I put the Denver Broncos in because when I handicapped this Broncos Bears game, the single worst unit amongst these teams, shockingly, is the Bears defense, and especially the Bears pass defense.
And that's after the Broncos gave up 70?
If you do the math, it just works out in the Broncos' favor by a hair. So why not? A little money line party that pays better than 2.5 to 1. Those three teams.
I disagree.
Now, doesn't this
House.
game smell like a rat though? Minnesota, Carolina smells like a rat.
They're all rats.
Well, back to what House was saying. The most disappointing unit is the however many units he put on that parlay. I think that's what the most disappointing unit is going to be. Yeah, I think listen, I back, and I have more to say about Kirk Cousins in a minute, but this is a must-win for the Vikings. And Raheem hit it exactly. They were 11-0 last year in one-score games, already 0-3. So that's not good. And House might be right. Maybe they are better than they were last year. One thing's for sure, this is a must-win. You might think already they're out of the playoffs, but 9-8 could potentially get you that 7 seed in the NFC. So if you believe in the Vikings at all, they're playing an inferior team, and I know they're like the Chargers where you really don't want to take them as a favorite, let alone on the road, but this might be the time to do it on a teaser. Now, Raheem he'll scream and scream and scream at me for teasing us through the 0. But Raheem, you're going to be wrong twice this year. There's going to be 2 ties in the NFL, and that's when the teaser with the 0 is going to help. This could be one of them. I like the Vikings to win, and I think it's by a touchdown or more. You know, you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers. He's like number 1 in fantasy and even better numbers than Tua, but it doesn't make any sense that they're 0-3.
Any interest, Raheem, for me, to think about an alternate spread with the Vikings?
I think I have interest in that. Like,
I mean, the idea of taking them, I don't know, maybe like -6.5, 7.5. I mean, if they win the game, they should, in theory, smoke Carolina.
Yeah.
Right now on FanDuel Sportsbook, I'm trying to look at these alternate spreads. I think, what can you get? You can get it's not juicy enough. I mean, like, you can get -8.5, -9. You can get -9.5 at +190.
You know, I'll give you an alternate spread I like today. And I know I picked the Dolphins as my man's best bet. But Sal, I mentioned this to the guys when we did our podcast early in the week. To me, with Miami, I don't think they lose a close game. Buffalo is one of those teams, when they win comfortably. I think if you're going to bet Buffalo today, you should sprinkle, in addition to your wise and up bet, Bills -6.5 or 7.5 and get it at 2-1. Can I convince you to do that?
Interesting. The only thing is, and maybe I look at trends in history too much, but these games have been close between these specific 2 teams over the last, whether it's Skylar Thompson in there or not, right? So that's, I know what you're saying about Buffalo. When they win big. But what about specific to this series? You would know better than the rest of us.
Well, I mean, last year the games were close. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, all 3 of the games were freaking classics. The game in the snow was a classic. The game in Miami that came down to the wire when the Bills ran out of time was a classic. And even the playoff game was really good. But before that, it was kind of a lopsided, one-sided rivalry. I mean, before last year in South Florida, I think the Dolphins lost every single game to the Bills pretty handily from like 2017 to 21. I mean, again, you put a little cold water on that because it's a totally different Dolphin team and a totally different Bill team, but something to think about. Speaking of which, we got a listener and a viewer email, guys, regarding the Bills and Dolphins game, which I wanted to share, and it's our segment where you can ask the wise guys a question, ask for some advice. Hey, Ringer Wise Guys, long time, first time. JJ's Dolphins are at the Bills. Number 1 ranked offense, number 2 ranked defense. But that Bills defense should be more nervous than Karen Hill being offered some stolen dresses. I like Miami getting the 3 and Tua throwing for over 271.5 passing yards. Wise Guys, please advise. That's from Travis in Pasadena. House, to one little narrative and note on that, I would just take Miami to win the game with Tua over 271.5 passing yards. To me, if you're going to tie the 2 together, you might as well get more value and take Miami to win.
Yeah, I like that parlay. We have to sit down and run the math on it. That's a good 2-legger as far as I'm concerned. The interesting thing with the Bills is Jordan Poyer being out. The speed of Waddle, this is the stuff that's happening, the alchemy of the last 72 hours. Jaden Waddle confirmed in, Poyer confirmed out, and the speed of that Dolphins offense is going to be something that the Bills haven't seen this season. They haven't seen this version of Tua either, where they're giving him pass protect schemes where he gets to see the whole field out in front of him. So it's a really fascinating thing. We'll see how Sean McDermott responds, but I feel like it's a version of these Dolphins. It ain't the same old, it ain't your grandfather's Dolphins. This offense that's coming out here up against the Bills that are a little bit maybe, thin on that back end.
I'm not crazy about this one. And I mean, you guys know I like Buffalo already, but we've seen some sharp money in the market pushing this total down.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we're seeing in the NFL this year, unlike any other year, or maybe the last 2, is that scoring is coming down. You look at all of these totals; these are really low totals for the most part, and they're employing that 2-deep shell and telling guys that you kind of just got to work your way up the field as opposed to being able to throw deep. And I know Tyreek Hill is a deep threat. I mean, he can pass anybody, but this is a divisional game between two teams that know each other. These two teams played what was the final score of that first game last year? 19-17, 20-17?
21-19, I think.
Yeah, I can see this being a lower scoring game, and Tua's been going over his passing yards every single week. At some point, this is a market, so this is going to be priced in. And one of the tools that I like to use, you guys now used to work for the Action Network. They have a tool called Action Labs. And I believe at FanDuel Sportsbook right now, the over-under is 273. Well, Action Labs actually has the projection at 271. So I just think there's not a lot of value in it.
Can I just say,
I do like the under.
I don't think, I don't want to get personal here with it was nice enough to write an email, but this Travis from Pasadena, he sounds like a dimwit. He sounds like an imbecile. He sounds like a simpleton. The Bills are the pick. Maybe I came off the wrong way. The Bills are the pick this week. And also, one thing to consider, I think he had I think he had less than 250 yards against the Patriots in a winning effort. So it is possible to beat the Bills and to stay under that number.
I like the under in this game. I'm glad Raheem brought that up because to me, it's just way overjuiced. It's way overvalued. I think a lot of people are going way too crazy about what Miami did last week as far as putting up 70. So you want to talk about a little bit of an overreaction. I think the overreaction was not necessarily with the game line in this particular matchup. That total seems a little out of whack, if you ask me. All right, guys, we have more questions from some of our friends. We go from a listener email to what's next. I don't even know.
What's up, wise guys? Austin Gale here from The Ringer, looking to back my Las Vegas Raiders going to LA to play the Chargers in some sort of FanDuel bet. Do we like them giving points to the Chargers? Is there another bet on the board that we like that can have me backing the silver and black? What do you guys think, wise guys?
I like it, Austin. Listen, I'm on the Raiders in this particular matchup. Sal has them as the man's best bet. Raheem, I know you were in on the Chargers early in the week. Does that still apply here today?
I don't like this game at all. I'm going to let you guys handle it because I think you guys are strong on the Raiders. I like the Chargers earlier this week, just kind of grabbing the number. I think it was at -5 at the time, knowing that it would go up. But now we're at multiple key numbers, so I'm fine on it now.
We should have made the Raiders, by the way, our family play in addition to the tees. Seems like we're all kind of on the same page with this one, Sal.
Well, it's our family play, but only Aiden O'Connell's family really believes in him today. So that's why probably we couldn't get a consensus on it. But to me, it's more like, I don't even know. We should come up with a name for this, but I don't even love what the Raiders present today. But I feel like the dealer is holding a 6, and in this case, a 6.5. So we should play our hand accordingly. The dealer is the Chargers, and, they crap the bed every week when it comes to the line, whether it's coaching or whether it's something stupid, or we talked about the injuries. But let's not forget, classic games between these two, not to be forgotten, a couple years ago to get into that playoffs. One team wanted a tie. They both wanted a tie. One team, and then the Raiders went behind their back and actually won that game in Week 18, or maybe it was Week 17. I can't remember. It's probably Week 17 on that Sunday night. I feel like it could be another classic game. Take the points.
I never thought, House, that we would have the Los Angeles Chargers equated to a 6 on the blackjack table.
Yes.
Never thought we'd see that one before.
They really are, though. Week in and week out, it's such a great call. I was just going to start calling them the blackjack
sixes.
6.
Let the 6 screw it up. Don't do a damn thing. Keep your money. By the way, there is nothing worse than you'll get on a blackjack table. And I've done this a few times, just so you know. And I've had a couple of tirades in Vegas or in Atlantic City. And you'll have a knucklehead with the dealer showing a 6, and they got their dopey 12 or 13. I'm going to hit.
Yeah.
You sure you want to do that? Raheem, when that happens, I walk off the table. I might use some profanity. I walk off the table.
I light
think it's
the table
justified.
on fire. I light it on fire first, and then I walk away. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, man. I prefer to throw my chips at the dealer.
But it's not the dealer's fault. Because if you have these knuckleheads that don't know what they're doing, hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
We can't be knuckleheads. I can't bet on the Chargers. I'm not laying anything with O'Connell. I don't know if O'Connell's parents would lay anything with O'Connell. So I mean, it's a stay away. But good luck to everybody involved.
The Sixes, aka the Los Angeles Chargers. All right, before we say goodbye, guys. we're incorporating a new mobster term. This is what you call the Sammy the Bull stay away. And it might be a coach, it might be a player, it might be a team that we just have got to stay away from at all costs. Last week, it was the idea of it's not your fault. Now it's the idea of, well, we're staying away from you. It is your fault. Who would it be, Sal?
Well, we touched on this earlier, and we talked enough about the Chargers, but it was a team playing the Chargers last week, the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, it is your fault. What a disgrace. You took 25 seconds to snap a ball. You could have clocked it, or you could have gotten to the line of scrimmage in 12, 14, 15 seconds. This is something I actually think, as a fat 50-plus-year-old man, I would have been able to do better than Kirk Cousins. Get to the line and spike the ball. I really could have, but no, it was too loud. He had never played in Minnesota before. Why is it too loud? Well, now I'm going to be loud, Kirk Cousins, and say, I cannot trust you again. I would love to bet you against the Panthers this week. It's a must-win, but because you don't know clock management and you don't know that you have stud receivers you can count on if you can get 4 plays instead of 2, I'm done. And plus, I had you as a futures bet to win the NFC North, and I'm contacting my attorneys. I'm getting my money back from Kirk Cousins specifically on this bet. You like that, Kirk? Let me know if you like that.
Wow. First of all, I can't believe you bet the Vikings to win the division. I forgot about that.
Yeah, plus 320, whatever it was. I mean, 13-4, regress.
I think you just wanted,
games.
you know what it is? You wanted to zig when everybody zagged. You know,
Yeah.
that's it. Everybody was out on the Vikings, so Sal wanted to be in on the Vikings, and now we're seeing the end result of that. All right, Raheem, who's your Sammy the Bull of the week?
It's Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. When you look at Justin Fields, this guy is 8-17-2 against the spread. That's 32% against the spread throughout his career. This offense is the worst in the league. This guy can't pass. He can't go through his progressions. And look, I always try to remind people, this is a market. These markets are typically efficient. So if you have one quarterback throughout his entire career going 32% against the spread, that tells you how bad he is, because odds makers can't even adjust for how terrible this guy is. They're the rat.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. The Chicago Bears and the Denver Broncos. I mean, you want to talk about, for me at least, I didn't even give one this week, but I'm going to go with Denver as my complete stay away, and more specifically, Sean Payton, who got this, like, King's welcome. Oh, it's this Super Bowl winning coach. Oh, he's going to fix everything with the Denver Broncos. Well, they have looked worse through 3 games with Sean Payton than they did a year ago with Nathaniel Hackett. They just gave up 70 points and had a team that had no interest and had no desire to compete at all against the Miami Dolphins. Until I see otherwise, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, stay away. I need to see fire, competition, spirited effort before you could work your way onto the horizon and my betting radar, at least for the foreseeable future. All right, House, I had to chime in because Raheem picked one side of that terrible 2 coin. I took the other, so you're up.
I have to say this. I feel very emotional. This segment is the player will never bet on again. I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity to ever make another wager involving this player because it's Zach Wilson's last game in the NFL.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Talk about you dropping the mic.
I mean, I really would love to keep betting against him, but I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity. Tonight is going to be the swan song. The princess herself will be there to sing whatever song he requests. We might see Trevor Siemian start the second half if it's a typical Zach Wilson performance after one half. I mean, best regards to whatever comes next in life, Zach Wilson. You're a beautiful man, and maybe you seem fairly articulate. Don't try and take any of our jobs, but the media could be a thing.
I don't know about that.
Quarterback in the
Zach
NFL
Wilson trying to
is-
break down the quarterback position on Sundays. Please sign me up for that right now.
Well,
Hey,
quarterback
House.
in the NFL is not his job.
House, can we interest you in an alternate spread since this is Zach Wilson's final game? I mean, can we get you to lay Chiefs minus 21.5 or something like that?
Ooh.
Time
what do I
to
get?
say
Plus
goodbye.
500.
Plus 5-1 at the Chiefs minus 21.5. I wish it was 21. Let's do it. Why not? Let's go out big.
We are going out with an absolute bang. All right,
Broadway
boys.
Show wants to send them away. This is the way we're going to do it.
Listen, all I know is I need the Chiefs and the Eagles because I just fired in on FanDuel on that 2-team sucker tease that Joe House presented to us. So I'm officially invested. Just let you know. So House, if it loses, it's your fault. You're going to be my candidate for next week.
Of course.
Oh, man.
On that note, Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski signing off. Want to thank all our friends over at FanDuel TV and at The Ringer. Good job by Jack and Travis and the crew. We'll be back same time, same place. And I'm going to be in South Florida next week. So I'm going to be glowing. I might have sunglasses on. I don't tan, so I'm probably going to look like a red lobster. So look forward to that. The boys are out. Be good, everybody.